Good evening and welcome back to We're Not Really Here with me, Cel Spellman. Not the result that we were hoping for. It finishes full-time Tottenham 2, Manchester City 0. Here to give us their thoughts is Joleon Lescott, Gareth Barry and Michael Brown. Joleon, of course, a tough result to take. What was your assessment of the game as a whole, and in particular, though, the second half?
Kind of how I thought it was going to go in terms of possession and the setup from Spurs, counter-attacks, spacing behind, and two great finishes. We've got to recognise the good play that Spurs had in regards to their setup, how compact they looked. Yeah, City dominated possession, and the first half had more opportunities to score goals, but overall, the second half, I don't remember Lloris making a save, which is disappointing and just frustrating, to be honest. Obviously, we want to see City dominate performances, but we need to see more chances created.
It was something that you actually mentioned, Gareth, as well, actually, about half-time, that we needed to be trying to get the ball in, I think, quicker into the box, taking those shots when they presented themselves. Were the shots there, do you think, to take, or did we not even create the chances to even have the shot in the second half for you?
No, I think that was a disappointing thing from the second half. Didn't even seem there the opportunities created or the space created to get shots off. There's a couple of crosses that we managed to get in, but again, the first half there was positives to take from it. The second half, you know, we're all sat here watching the game, you know, disappointing that the chances weren't created, and you know, it's not often you say that about a Man City team.
I mean, there'll be questions asked, I think, again of going, was Aguero missed? Because we were saying he seems to be able to pull out half chances. Would he think it made a difference possibly if he was fully fit, Mag? We know how good he is, but it was a good Tottenham team as well.
I think, unfortunately, that's where Manchester City are becoming a little bit unstuck. Possession was controlled. We talked about shots on target, 22 shots but only 5 on target. So there was an improvement. So there was some movement at the top of the pitch. But ultimately, you look at Spurs front two and Son and Kane. It's 24 goals between them. Raheem Sterling is the top scorer on 5. Torres just behind in 4. So it's limited on goals. You can control the possession. You can move really, really well, create some chances. But ultimately, that game, yet again, has gone away because nobody's putting the ball in the net, unfortunately. So you can be as attractive as you want. So the point is, yes, Sergio Aguero, you need to get him fit. You need to get him on the pitch, because that's the difference. At the top of the pitch at the moment, defensively, yes, we've conceded 2 goals, a little bit disappointing. We've tried to make us a little bit better there. But at the top of the pitch, we're just not getting it.
It's so strange because we're saying that about a Pep Guardiola team that, of course, we associate with free-flowing, attacking football, having that possession, but creating so many chances. We've mentioned about Aguero. Is there anything else you think you're looking for more from Manchester City, do you think, Joleon?
As a collective, you are. Obviously, you just want to see everybody obviously raise their game and contribute a little bit more, but it's hard to pick out one tactic or any individual. I did find it strange, even though questioning Pep, not that we didn't see Sergio Aguero when you need a goal and he's on the bench. I don't know why he wouldn't come on. Hopefully there's an opportunity for him in coming weeks, but to put your finger on it and say, is there anything in particular, it's hard, because there are occasions and times in seasons when it just doesn't click. We've seen it when City obviously dominate and create loads of chances, and you look like
there was some really good movements there, wasn't there? First half against the Spurs side, it was saying, are they going to challenge for the title? It was controlled completely by Manchester City. I'm saying 2 years ago, that would have been a different story. Once that domination happens, you'd be putting Spurs on the back foot.
Yeah, definitely. And again, for that reason, we don't know. But I just think against the teams now, the setup is different against Man City. No one's going to adopt the style they had 2 years ago when they were getting beat 5s and 6s. They're going to be coming a different approach. And we've seen it today. Top players with a strong, instructive performance, it's hard to break down.
Yeah.
These are top players. These are not an average team. These are international footballers as well for Spurs. So we have to give them a lot of respect.
Let's look at the goal that we conceded, because again it was a slight turning point, because you always fancy that if we were to get that second goal that maybe we then could have kicked on and gone on to get a winner, but it was Tottenham that got the second goal. Could we have done any more, Gareth, to stop that ball from hitting the back of the net? It looked to me like it was 3 kind of passes really, and they were in behind us again. How do you stop that?
I think the disappointing is it come from an opportunity for us. If the pass is right, we've got a 2v2 on their goal, and all of a sudden, 10 seconds later, you're finding the ball in the back of our net. But these are the moments we were speaking about before the game. Spurs are set up for that. They want to counter-attack us, and if you're giving the ball away and you're not set up right, the quality players cut through you, and that's what Spurs have got at the moment. The pace they've got and the quality of pass to get him through is quality, and give Spurs credit today. They've managed the game really well.
I was asking you, Michael, because I think people were talking about maybe for the first goal, was Ederson too far off his line? But like you said, Gareth, no, he was kind of where he should be for that first goal. Second goal, I was asking, should he have come out that far? But you said actually he was quite unlucky because he kind of 9 times out of 10 would have done the right thing.
Well, yes, he was very, very proactive. He come forward, and I was just saying to Gareth actually when we were talking about it, the gap that it goes in, Lo Celso probably goes to try and slide it across him, but he gets his body there in the right position. But ultimately, it was just the tiniest of gaps through his legs. Very unfortunate. And Ederson, yes, he can come out at times where you think, does he get bored almost because he doesn't see the ball and he'll come forward. But I think he got that one correct. He came forward, he made himself big, he narrowed the ground. But it's just unfortunate, just that the tiniest of gaps going there,
And then, Joleon, for you, defensively as a whole, as a four, and of course that's a four that we were kind of saying seemed to have found a nice rhythm. Yeah. Not their best performance today. Yeah,
that was probably the first game I've looked at them and thought it was an individual defensive performance today. There wasn't too many occasions when I looked like they were working as a unit or as a pair even. And the second goal, I'm not saying that because he's here. Someone would be there. Someone should be on Harry Kane. If he goes that deep into midfield, you don't want to start in that position as a defender, but then you have to communicate with the midfielders to get him back on his toes so he can't receive that ball. Like literally, they've passed it from the edge of their box into Harry Kane. That's run to the edge of our box, passed it to the south, and no one's been able to make a tackle. And we've got 3 players back. I don't understand how that can happen in a team like this. So that should be disappointing for the team to look at.
I mean, Gareth would have been there, wouldn't he?
I would have made sure he was there.
Gareth would have been there.
doing my job.
So is that then a shape? Sorry, go on,
It's
Michael.
the start, though. You give the Spurs side, you step in, your 2 centre-backs not aware of the run and son. 5 minutes into the game. You can set up, you can have all the planning you want, but that lack of concentration, it just changes the whole outlook.
But if you look at the first half to second half, I seen Diaz and Laporte in the left-back area of Spurs, that tight to Harry Kane. But yet in the second half, it was a totally different approach. He'd gone off them like 10, 15 yards, and they've let him turn, which I don't know what was said at half-time. I don't know if that was a tactic, but it was a different approach from them, which obviously allowed him to then run with the ball, which is hard to stop.
Now, I might be wrong on this, but it feels like we're missing that voice on the pitch that is able to almost, shout and dictate a little bit to players, I need you here, you should be there. Is that something that you think might be missing slightly from that Manchester City team? Like you say, you would have been screaming, I'm sure Vinny would have been screaming to say, you need to be there, or maybe we need to be pushing tighter on Kane or someone dropping in. Is that a thing, or do you think actually I'm just being silly there, Gareth? Not at all.
No, if you look at the team and you ask me to look for a natural leader, 1 or 2, you're going to struggle to find that character. So I think it's something that Pep probably needs to find, whether it's in the club already or maybe he needs to find it elsewhere. But it's important for any club that are going to achieve success. They've got a good group of leaders, not just one. So it's something to work on.
Guys, do you think that voice is there now? Do with the modern day player and the way the setup is? Are they allowed to be as vocal? Do like say from we all started off, it was very much a vocal. The manager would almost give you a couple of minutes at half time or whatever, you go and sort your bits. And I don't know if that is sort of encouraged so much.
In terms of questioning the manager, no. I think that's slowly going out of the game.
Like your teammates. I don't just mean question your manager. I mean like being able to do that. In terms of the
manager, no. But I think managers like confrontation between his own players. They'll almost like that. They like the little dust-ups in training, do you know what I mean? They like that fire from the players. So I think it's still there and the manager will still want it, but the game is slowly changing in that way too.
It's going to be, we're all aware now, I think obviously there's probably going to be a lot said on social media and online and across all sports outlets, that is this a worrying time for City? I think it's important to address it's not quite panic stations yet, I don't think, Joleon.
No, not necessarily, but it's concerning times. I think the gap as it gets bigger and there's more teams involved this year. You're not just trying to catch Liverpool. There's other teams now involved in this race. So if you're losing to them, obviously it doesn't bode well. But it's not kind of end of the days. We're still title contenders and teams will still want to finish higher than us in regards to winning this league.
Gareth, for them players now, and something, of course, that I know you will have all experienced, where you have to be looking to the next game within 3 days. That's 2 losses now for the season. Of course, a 2-0 win, which was quite tough to take. They have to go to Olympiacos in the middle of the week. You guess you're always that little bit tireder after a loss. How hard is it to pick yourself back up and refocus your energy into that next game?
I think they're going to be grateful. There's a game 3 days later. I think as soon as you lost the game, you want to put it right. See the Premier League form slightly disappointing. There's 2 defeats already, but no, they'll realise they've got to try and put things right. So they'll be grateful for the game in 3 days.
And Michael, finally, what do City need to be kind of saying amongst themselves now, and what do you think the manager will be saying getting into the Champions League start back up, and also this very busy, congested Premier League fixture period?
I think we know what Pep will be saying. He doesn't accept not getting results. This is where Manchester City are now, so it'll be improvements, what we expect from the players, who didn't perform, who did perform. Collectively, he'll be making everybody aware. But really, really quickly, like you say, there's another game. And it's actually quite nice in some ways when you haven't had a good result to go and put that right. It's a lot of travelling, we know, and we're in a real good position in the Champions League. So let's get that one sorted, But it's again, you've got to move on. You've got to learn from it. I think we know how good this squad is. The demands are high. We've got a real, good sort of bounce back sort of ability in the squad. They just get on with it, and they'll be ready for Wednesday, and I'm sure we'll get a really good performance and a good reaction.
Cheers, Michael. We will be back, of course, for that game on Wednesday against Olympiacos in the Champions League, so you can join us an hour before on We're Not Really Here. Remember as well, while you're on City Plus TV, loads of brilliant documentaries for you guys to check out. Not the result that we hope for, but hopefully we'll be putting it right on Wednesday. Joleon, thank you so much. Great to have you back on. Michael, as always, an absolute pleasure. Thank you. And Gareth, honestly, a real privilege to have you on. Thank you so much. And to all you brilliant people watching, thanks for joining us on We're Not Really Here. As I say, join us for Olympiacos in the middle of the week, and Premier League is back the weekend after. Have a lovely evening and a wonderful weekend. Thanks for watching.